talk briefly about Derrida's cat. What we're referring to with this phrase is an encounter Derrida had with one of his cat companions. The cat story Derrida relates to his readers has taken on a kind of legendary status in animal studies, but grasping its full significance can be a challenge. We won't be able to unpack every detail of the encounter here, but we can lay down some of the essentials, which will enable you in turn to read and appreciate the original text on your own. We should start with the basic details of the encounter. Derrida relates a common occurrence he has when he goes to take a shower. He walks into the bathroom, the cat follows him in, but she wants to leave the bathroom again as soon as she sees him naked. It is a scene that was repeated every morning. The pussycat follows me when I wake up into the bathroom, asking for her breakfast, but she demands to leave that said bathroom as soon as it, or she, sees me naked, ready for everything and resolved to make her wait. Caught naked by the gaze of the cat, Derrida says he initially feels a blush of shame and wants to cover up. But then he wonders, do cats even recognize nudity? And what's going on when one catches oneself being seen by another animal? So the first thing we might notice here is that Derrida's narrative is asking us whether there is in fact a fundamental difference between human beings and cats, and animals more generally, in regard to nudity. Are animals aware of the difference between being clothed and unclothed, or is such knowledge the sole privilege and prerogative of human beings? Traditionally, such awareness of nudity, along with other capacities like language, consciousness, and awareness of death, have been thought to be markers of human uniqueness. One of the main goals of Derrida's writings on animals is to call into question these kinds of simplistic and binary accounts of human uniqueness and help us rethink human-animal differences in a more complex and subtle manner. Second, it's important to note that Derrida sees himself being seen, and seen naked no less, by another animal. This implies that the cat is there first, prior to his gaze, catching him off guard. It also means that this animal has its own point of view, a point of view to which Derrida doesn't have full access. Thus, far from being an object that could be exhausted by human knowledge, the cat would be better characterized as a singular being, with its own unique and largely inaccessible opening onto the world. As Derrida notes, it has its point of view regarding me, the point of view of the absolute other, and nothing will have ever given me more food for thinking through this absolute alterity, or otherness, than these moments when I see myself seen naked under the gaze of a cat. Now, if we follow out this line of thought and come to conceive of this cat as a singular being, then it can't ultimately be reduced down to any general categories as the tradition would have us do. We would come to recognize the futility of trying to reduce this unique other to such categories as cat, or animal, or it, as I just did. In brief, we would need to rethink who this cat is, and more broadly who and what animals are, and what we call human beings and animals and how they relate. There's obviously a lot more we could pull out from this encounter, but if you start with those two threads, the questioning the traditional human-animal distinction and attending to the singularity of this other that we call a cat, you can gain access to the main concerns that drive much of Derrida's work on the question of the animal. You can find Derrida's full discussion of his cat encounter on pages 3 to 13 in the English translation of The Animal That Therefore I Am.